This is actually class number 14 using Brother Tio's notes. And for the classes using Brother Tio's notes, this is my first one remote. So hopefully there's no technical issues. Hopefully it goes well.
So far, so good.
So far, so good? Good.
Yeah.
In our previous class, we started the Ratana Sutta, the Gems Sutta, and the first two sentences, or the first two parts of it, were whatever beings are gathered here, whether of the earth or in the sky. And we spent quite a bit of time discussing devas, about how the relationship between humans and devas, how devas really appreciate metta, and how devas can influence our daily life and our environment. Of course, they are still subject to conditions, so it's not like they can do anything, but some factors, they can't override our karma, for example, but some factors they can have a influence and help us. One of the examples they gave in the commentary to the Jataka tales was influencing how dice are rolled. So to make sure that it's lucky, we get lucky rolls. So it can help with luck on issues. The devas can help on luck on issues like that, but on bigger things, maybe not so much. So we finished devas in the last class, and now we're going to move. It seemed a natural transition from dedicating merits to the devas to dedicating merits to the petas. So I'm going to talk about a sutta called the Hungry Ghosts Outside the Walls Sutta. This sutta, actually, there's two copies of it in the Sutta Pitaka. First is in the Tirokuṭṭa, which is the kind of like the handbook for new monks, where they have the most common, the most popular suttas so that young monks can use this as a first memorization guide. So this is aimed at young monks, this whole book. And so the fact that this sutta is included there shows how important it is for monks to know, because it's one of the first suttas that they will learn. And the second copy of identical sutta is in the Pitavatu, another book in the Khuddaka Nikaya called the Pitavatu. The Pitavatu is a collection of stories about petas, primarily narrated by Mahamoggallana, because Mahamoggallana had the ability to perceive and see and interact with the petas, with the hungry ghosts, because he had developed spiritual powers to a very high degree. And so, let me just check it. Okay, so yeah, the spiritual powers to a great degree. So he had the divine eye. So Mahamoggallana, Venerable Mahamoggallana, was able to see these spirits that other people could not see. And so that's the environment that we are. Okay, I'm just reading all the issues here. Okay, so that's the issue. That's the two places where this sutta shows up. Let me read the sutta first. It's a short sutta. Outside the walls they stand, and at crossroads. At doorposts they stand, returning to their old homes. But when a meal with plentiful food and drink is served, no one remembers them. Such is the karma of hungry ghosts. Thus, those who feel sympathy for their dead relatives give timely donations of proper food and drink by thinking, may this be for our relatives, May our relatives be happy. And those who have gathered there, the assemblage of ghosts of the relatives, with appreciation, give their blessing for the plentiful food and drink. May our relatives live long because of whom we have gained this gift. We have been honored, and the donors are not without reward. For in the realm of hungry ghosts, there is no farming, no herding of cattle, no commerce, no trading with money. The hungry ghosts live on what is given here, hungry ghosts whose time here is done. As water raining on a hill flows down to the valley, even so does what is given here benefit the dead. As rivers full of water fill the ocean full, even so what is given here benefit the dead. He gave to me, she acted on my behalf. They were my relatives, companions, friends. Offering should be given for the dead when one reflects thus on things done in the past. For no weeping, no sorrowing, no other lamentation benefits the dead, whose relatives persist in that way. But when this offering is given, well placed in the Sangha, it works for their long-term benefit and they profit immediately. In this way, the proper duty to relatives has been shown. Great honor has been done to the dead, and monks have been given strength. The merit you've acquired isn't small. Okay, so that is the whole sutta. We're now going to go through paragraph by paragraph and give the explanation of this sutta primarily from the commentary. So why was this sutta delivered? Well, according to the commentary, one night King Bimbisara, who was a patron of the Buddha, dreamt of many frightful beings wandering outside the city walls, lamenting, "We are your relatives from long ago. Please give gifts of merit to us. We are oppressed by hunger and thirst without support. There is no one else who can help us." So when King Bimbisara had this dream, this unsettling dream, he approached the Buddha and he offered dana to the Buddha, saying, "Idam me nyatinam hotu, sukhita hontu nyatayo." In other words, in English, this would be, "Let this be for my relatives. May my relatives be happy." And that phrase, "Idam me nyatinam hotu, sukhita hontu nyatayo," that is a phrase that we use to dedicate merit to the Petas. So the first sentence, or the first part, the first stanza, outside the walls they stand, and at crossroads, at doorposts they stand, returning to their old homes. But when a meal with plentiful food and drink is served, no one remembers them. Such is the karma of hungry ghosts. Basically, according to the Abhidhamma, if someone's last thought as a human when they are reborn is craving or attachment, then they can be reborn as a hungry ghost. If the last thought is got craving and attachment, but is dominated by delusion, they can be reborn as an animal. So it is, these beings are described by Mahamoggallana as having huge bellies, insatiable hunger, insatiable thirst, but a neck like the size of a pin. So no matter how much food they put in their mouth or how much water they put in their mouth, it cannot ever satisfy them. They're always craving, always thirsty. And in fact, the word for craving in Pali is tana, which we also know as thirst. That's also the Pali word for thirst. So craving and thirst are the same word in Pali. So these Petas, because of their past karma, cannot enter human dwellings at will. nor can they enjoy human food and drink directly. Therefore, they linger outside walls, near village boundaries, at crossroads, near rubbish heaps, and similar places. So, according to the commentary, because they are not welcomed into the house, they got to hang around outside without welcome and often near the garbage. Okay, so they also cannot enjoy human food or drink directly, which, as I mentioned, that they've got a very, very small throat. And so they cannot put any food in their drink in their mouth. It won't go to their stomach. So Petas, drawn by attachment to their former homes and relatives, remain nearby but cannot be seen. So we can imagine that outside our front door, there are departed relatives. There may be departed relatives. Okay? Condition is likened to persons locked out of a feast, present but excluded. In other words, they are there but not allowed in. They're just staring through the gates, seeing all the food and wanting it even more. The commentary dispels the false idea that departed can consume physical offerings left at graves or shrines. The barrier between realms is absolute for material goods. So if we put a fruit or food for the Petas, it won't work. That doesn't help them. Even if we dedicate it and say, hey, this is for you, no, that does not help, because physically their body is not able to take in that kind of nutriment. The kind of nutriment that they can take in is rejoicing when we share our merit, when we as humans dedicate the merit to them, then they rejoice. That rejoicing creates wholesome karma in the Petas, and that provides some relief for them and shortens their existence in the Peta realm. So I'll just do a quick check. Any questions? Is everything clear? Is the audio okay? Able to follow?
Everything is clear, Brother Rob. Very clear.
Okay, great.
Audio.
Rob, I cannot see your video, only your audio.
Brother Rob did not on his the video.
It says I'm sharing my screen.
Yeah, now can see. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry. It says stop. It says I'm sharing the screen. Okay. Hopefully the recording will have it. All right. So the next stanza of the sutta is, thus those who feel sympathy for their dead relatives give timely donations of proper food and drink by thinking, may this be for our relatives, may our relatives be happy. Ida me nyatinam hotu sukita hotu nyatayo. Relatives here can be either related by blood, by marriage, or through past associations, such as friendship or companionship in meritorious deeds. In other words, when we share merit with relatives, we don't use the word relatives literally. It can be anyone who was close to us and perhaps in the past shared meritorious deeds with us. Okay? The way to give timely donations is to reflect. May this be for our relatives. May our relatives be happy. Ida me nyatinam hotu sukita honto nyatayo. This is called punyamodana, which is a combination of the word punya, which is merit, and anumodana, which means rejoicing with. So sometimes in a message, I send you get a message on a mail, they say anumodana. That means they are rejoicing with whatever you have shared. Okay, so but punya anumodana is rejoicing with or sharing with the merit. So the term sharing of merits is misleading because it implies that something is transferred. In other words, if I give something to my wife, I don't have it anymore and she's got it. That is not, that's quote sharing, but that's not what we're talking about here. A better way of describing it is as dedication of merit. So I dedicate the merit of anything I have done to my departed relatives. And those who have gathered here, the assembled ghosts of the relatives, with appreciation give their blessing for the plentiful food and drink. May our relatives live long because of whom we have gained this gift. We have been honored and the donors are not without reward. The gift that is given to the hungry ghosts is a beautiful state of mind that will create obstructive karma that shortens or improves their life as a peta. As we remember in the Abhidhamma, there are 4 different types of karma. First is productive karma. That is what establishes your lifespan. Then there is supportive karma. Supportive karma extends productive karma. So for a human, productive karma is wholesome. It makes us live longer. For a peta, productive karma makes them live longer as a peta, so that's a bad thing. The next type of karma after productive and supportive is obstructive karma. For a human, obstructive karma would make our lifetime shorter. And for the peta, it also makes their lifetime shorter, which for them is a good thing. So when the gift that we are giving them is a shorter time as a peta, and then when their karma that drove them to be reborn as a peta, their productive karma, that greed-driven karma that caused them to be reborn as a peta expires, then they will be reborn in another realm, possibly a human realm, depending on their background karma. Now, the 4th type, after the productive karma that generates the lifespan, the supportive karma that extends the lifespan, the obstructive karma that shortens the lifespan, is the destructive karma. This destructive karma cuts short prematurely the lifespan. So for a human, let's say that we are in a plane and the plane crashes. We die. It's not, the reason that we die is not because our productive karma has expired. It's not because of supportive or obstructive karma. This is destructive karma intervening and cutting short a lifespan. All right, so those are the 4 types of karma understood in the Abhidhamma. The reward, all right, so that's the gift. That's the gift that the ghost gets. And then the ghost says, yeah, those humans gave us this gift. And the donors, the humans, also get a reward. What do we get out of it? The reward that we get is also a beautiful state of mind, which creates supportive karma that extends or improves our life as a human. Okay. Now, different ways of doing this, when we say, may our relatives be well and happy, we can do specific dedication, which is targeted at, all right, may my specific family member, think of them. That's targeted. That may be more focused, but you don't have to make it specific. A general dedication is more inclusive and still effective. I would recommend, because we don't know where someone has been reborn, going for, in our own mind, a general dedication to whatever petas, whatever unfortunate beings are around me, let them rejoice. So it's more inclusive and still effective. Visualization is optional, all right? But the wholesome intention and clear mental direction are what matter most. The strength of the volition or cetana creates the strength of the kama. So if you are practicing metta, you start out by focusing on yourself, and then a person for whom it's very easy to generate metta, then a neutral person, and extending out. Eventually, you get to the point where the metta is so strong inside of you, you can radiate to all beings, a more general dedication of the merit. And it's that general dedication that hopefully that we can apply. Once we've developed that ability to go from specific, targeted to general, if we can apply that to sharing or dedicating the merits from our to the petas, to make it as broad as possible, that makes the kama stronger. Then the next stanza, for in the realm of hungry ghosts, there is no farming, no herding of cattle, no commerce, no trading with money. The hungry ghosts live on what is given here, hungry ghosts whose time here is done. So petas cannot engage in the kind of livelihood that human beings depend on for sustenance. That's why it talks about farming, herding of cattle, commerce, trading with money. That's how humans exist. That's not how the petas exist. They don't depend on that kind of livelihood for existence, for sustenance. They're entirely dependent on the results of their past karma. And in the special case of merit dedication, they may gain benefit from wholesome acts done by others. A water raining on a hill flows down to the valley. Even so does what is given here benefit the dead. As rivers full of water fill the ocean full, even so does what is given here benefit the dead. So just as water naturally flows to where it's needed and rivers inevitably reach the ocean, so too dedicated merit reaches and benefits those deceased beings who are able to receive it. The flow is natural, unforced, and certain, provided all the conditions are right. Now, the peta must be of a certain type to receive benefits, but even if no peta is around to receive the gift of the wholesome karma of reducing their time, the donor who offers this dedication of merit still gets their reward of wholesome karma that will act as a supportive karma to extend their life, make their life more easy. He gave to me, she acted on my behalf. They were my relatives, companions, friends. Offerings should be given for the dead when one thus reflects thus on things done in the past. For no weeping, no sorrowing, no other lamentation benefits the dead, whose relatives persist in that way. But when this offering is given, well placed in the Sangha, it works for their long-term benefit and they profit immediately. So when the peta remembers past connections and see that merits have been given for their benefit, so they're doubly gladdened. First by, I remember this is the good kindness that we did together. And secondly, by the present act of dedication. So the double joy increases the wholesome karmic effect. So one who wishes to honor departed relatives should do so through meritorious deeds, such as offering dana, observing precepts, undertaking medication, then consciously sharing the merit or dedicating the merit to the petas. This also applies to both departed relatives born as petas and to devas observing the merit performed. As it mentions in the sutta, the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, the Buddha said that the devas, when they see people doing good things, they rejoice. And so this sharing of merit works both for petas and for devas. And I want to stress here, it says no weeping, no sorrowing, no other lamentation benefits the dead. So crying for someone who has died, putting fruit by their grave is not going to directly help them. It could indirectly help them by orienting your own mind and using that as a trigger to, yes, that's nice to put some fruit or remember a departed parent or a departed relative, but even better is to do something meritorious. If that's a trigger to do something meritorious, whether it is dana, sila, bhavana, something meritorious, and then dedicating the merit of that meritorious deed to the peta. So on merits, let's talk about the most powerful merits. There's a sutta in the Anguttara Nikaya, the Book of Nines, where in this particular sutta, you have Anathapindika, who for some reason had fallen on bad times. Normally he was a rich millionaire, but at that moment he was bankrupt. I guess, that's what happens sometimes. Even rich millionaires become bankrupt. And so he was only able to offer to the Buddha at that time a small little bit of rice. And he said to the Buddha, "Hey, I'm so sorry. This is all I can afford to offer right now." And the Buddha then explained about how in a previous life, this is in the sutta, not a Jataka tale. The Buddha said, in a previous life, I was this merchant and I was incredibly wealthy. I had all these gifts, this gold, these elephants, this silk, everything to be shared. But there was no one worthy. There was only lay people available to receive it. And so the benefit that I received was, even though it was a huge offering, because I was only giving to lay people, it was small. And then the Buddha said that 100 times better than offering these gifts to lay people, even a huge gift, is offering it to a saint. And it starts out with the Sotapanna. Then 100 times better than offering a gift to a Sotapanna is offering it to a Sakadagami. 100 times better than offering to a Sakadagami, an Anagami. 100 times better than Anagami, an Arahat. 100 times better than an Arahat, a Pacceka Buddha. That's the silent Buddha that is enlightened but does not teach. Then 100 times better than a Pacceka Buddha is a Sammasambuddha, like the Buddha Gautama. Then 100 times better than offering to the Buddha, the Sammasambuddha, is offering to the Sangha headed up by the Buddha. So obviously we don't have any Buddha today, but we do have the Sangha that is headed up by the Buddha. So it will, that gives you even more benefit. This kind of benefit for dana is offering food, that type of temporary, that maybe sustain the person for a few hours or a couple of days. Even more beneficial is contributing to building a monastery, which can last for decades or longer. So in this sutta, it explains this hierarchy of dana. The more merit that you get more and more merit, 100 times more merit by going from lay people through the various stages of saints to the Buddha, to the Sangha, to building a monastery. But even much more powerful, 100 times more powerful than building a monastery is taking the refuges. In other words, not just opening up your wallet, but with a confident mind, taking the 3 refuges. In other words, opening up your heart to the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha. That is far more powerful than even building a monastery. Far more powerful than taking the refuges is with a confident mind, taking the precepts. So from dana, moving to sila, taking your 5 precepts with a confident mind is far more weighty than kama, far more weighty merit. Oops. And even far better than just taking the precepts is doing metta meditation for a short time. Actually, in the sutta, it uses an analogy saying for the time it takes to milk a cow or pull the udder on a cow. Keeping in mind that at the time of the Buddha, most of the audience were farmers. And so that's something they could relate to. How long does, I've never milked a cow, so I don't know how long that takes, but a short time. Radiating metta for a short time gives far more benefit. And finally, practicing vipassana for the time it takes to snap your fingers. Snap your finger, practicing vipassana for that length of time, that gives even more merit. So there are many people who are very, very good at offering dana. There are many people who take refuges and precepts seriously. And that's good. That brings good merit. But even more is to bring it up to the bhavana stage of metta, and even best is vipassana. So the idea of offerings or sharing of merit, not sharing, but rather dedicating merit, should be a regular practice, especially on days of remembrance, anniversaries of death, and times of special significance. That's a quote right from the suttas. It doesn't say 49 days or 100 days, but that's Chinese culture. They have specific days where they want to do it. So on days of remembrance, maybe ghost month, anniversaries of death, times of special significance, maybe the person's birthday, that would be a good time to particularly dedicate merit. Okay. Okay. So in this way, the proper duty to relatives has been shown. Great honor has been done to the dead, and monks have been given strength. The merit you've acquired isn't small. So I think that's it for the Peta discussion of Petas. Any questions on Petas?
So, brother Chris here.
Yeah, Chris.
So, in Singapore, they only believe a certain date of the calendar year where the hungry ghosts will come out, and that would be the easiest for the hungry ghosts to absorb all these merits or those things that you have explained just now. But I think that's wrong based on what you have shared with us, right? It shouldn't be only once a year. Yeah, that's my question.
Okay. There is nothing in the suttas that says once a year. What it says in the sutta is that they're constantly outside the gates. They're constantly hanging around. And so what I suspect is that when Buddhism moved from India into China, they kind of incorporated some of the Chinese practices and turned it into once a year. If you look at the Indians, they go to their shrines, or there's a culture of offering at the shrine every single day, doing it on a very regular basis. Whereas so that reflects the fact that, all right, the devas or the petas are constantly around.
Okay, thanks. Very clear.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
I agree with you that it may have been taken by when Buddhism went into China and incorporated with local beliefs to incorporate the once a year. But what the commentary said is days of remembrance, anniversaries of death, and times of special significance. I guess we could interpret the times of special significance as being ghost month, but it doesn't say in the suttas, it doesn't mention that it's once a year. So the way I interpret it as maybe whenever, there may be special times when you do this offering. Okay?
Brother Rob, I got one question.
Yep.
This peta, right? Are these the same peta that has been driven down from the Tavatimsa realm during the war?
No. Driven out during the war out of Tavatimsa heaven are the Asuras. That's a different class of beings. The Asuras are not able to, they're quarrelsome, they're always arguing and fighting among themselves and always arguing and fighting with the devas. They cannot receive our benefit, the benefit from our dedication of merit. That class of beings cannot receive. In fact, in the suttas, it explains very clearly that hell beings cannot receive dedication of merit. Animals cannot receive dedication of merit. Only some petas can receive dedication of merit. There's different classes of petas. The asuras cannot receive, humans cannot receive, devas can receive or can appreciate dedication of merit, but as they move up to the Brahma realm, they basically don't care, because they're not concerned with human events.
Okay, but one more question. Normally I go back to my mom house, so I pay respect to my dad. So in Chinese we have this the altar, see?
Yeah.
The altar, right? So in this state of mind at that point, right? What would be the best so-called, I call that state of mind or thoughts when I pay respect? Because normally I would say that may the memories that I gain today, we share with my departed dad, may he be born in a better realm. So this is what I normally do. So what is there a much better so-called state of mind or thought that I should actually have in my mind so that I can dedicate? Thank you,
Okay.
Brother Rob.
All right. Basically, what you need to do is have a powerful state of mind. And we'll talk more about this a little later when we talk about the statement of truth. But when you've got a powerful state of mind, your wishes become supercharged. They get put on steroids, if you will. So a powerful state of mind is a calm mind that reflects on previously done wholesome deeds, whether they are dana, sila, and especially bhavana, as we've gone through how wholesome those things are. So saying, all right, may the merit that I have dedicated since the last time, reflecting on what you have done, this will create a pure mind of your own. Just reflect on all the good things that you have done and mentally dedicate that merit to your father or your mother. When you go back to the family home, it's likely that any departed relatives who were from that household are still hanging around that house. It's a good chance that they're still hanging around that house. And so reflecting, calming the mind, purifying the mind, and as it mentions here, they did things together. So Any good things that you did together with your parents can be reflected upon. Whatever triggers a more wholesome and pure mind makes it more powerful. Does that help?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
But I want to stress here, just saying the words, "Idame nyatinam hotu sukita hontu nyatayo," the words are not where the power is. The power is not in the words. The power is in your state of mind when you dedicate the merit to that departed being or to all departed beings. Okay? Okay, any other questions? So we have covered the first half of the first stanza. Whatever beings are gathered here, whether of the earth or in the sky. Now, next, the Buddha said, may all beings indeed be happy. We're going back to the Ratana Sutta. And then listen carefully to what is said. The Buddha, when he says, may all beings be indeed be happy, and then listen carefully to what is said, the commentary explains that the Buddha is aiming to increase the wisdom of the devas. He is giving a Dhamma talk to the devas. He's trying to make the devas, give them a gift of wisdom. When he wishes them to be happy, this is because happiness is the root cause of concentration and wisdom. When the devas get happier, then the devas themselves are able to concentrate more and develop more wisdom. So they get a benefit from this. He's also instructing the devas to listen carefully because hearing the Dhamma is a root cause of wisdom. So the Buddha is out of compassion to the devas saying, all you guys that are here, I want to help you become more wise. He's radiating metta. And in the next verse, but when he says, may you be happy, he's radiating metta to the devas. And then the Buddha will ask in the next verse, the Buddha says, okay, devas, you show metta to the humans. In other words, follow my example. Then the Buddha is leading by example, showing how the Buddha radiates metta. And in return, he wants the devas to radiate metta back to the humans. So here is the next verse. Therefore, O beings, all of you listen. Show loving kindness to the human population, who day and night bring you offerings. Therefore, being heedful, protect them. Therefore, all you beings, all of you listen. Now, what he is saying is, hey, you've left he's talking to the devas, all you beings, you've left your celestial enjoyments to listen to the Dhamma. You should listen. Since your mind is happy and tuned with wisdom to listen to the Dhamma, you should listen. Since it's rare to hear a Buddha speak, you should listen. So he is giving the devas a instruction or advice. Listen carefully. This is important. When the Buddha says show loving kindness to the human population, the Buddha is not speaking through his authority as a Buddha, but rather for your benefit and the benefit of this human population. When devas radiate metta, it brings them 11 benefits as mentioned in the Metta Sutta. We often refer back to the Metta Sutta, sleep well, healthy, radiant, and so on, as the benefits that we get from radiating metta. But actually, the Buddha is saying, hey, you devas, you also get those same 11 benefits as a deva when you radiate metta. So this is for your benefit as well. So it's not just helping the humans, it's helping you as well. In the sutta, when it says the humans who day and night bring you offerings, the commentary explains what those offerings are. It talks about creating a shrine dedicated to the Devas as a visual reminder, lighting a lamp at night, dedicating merit during meals, dedicated merit from all-night Dhamma talks. So it does not talk about leaving fruit or rice or joss sticks to the Devas. These tangible things, the people to whom he's referring to, those tangible things are irrelevant. What is relevant is dedication of merit during meals. And it talks about dedicating merit from all-night Dhamma talks as being the kind of offerings. So it's not physical offerings, it is the offering of dedicating of merit from either during meals or from listening to Dhamma talks. Therefore, being heedful, protect them. So reflect on he's telling the Devas to reflect on the humans with gratitude. When he says being heedful, he uses the word in Pali, apamada. So if I break this down from Pali, the first A, means opposite. Pa is emphasis. Mada is intoxicant. So the opposite of strong intoxicant is heedfulness. So that's when we offer when we give the precepts, the 5th precepts, we talk about pamada, right? Things that are intoxicants. Here we're talking about apamada, which is the opposite of the intoxicant, which is translated here as heedfulness. And in fact, the last instructions from the Buddha were apamadena sampadeta. Apamada is heedful. The ena at the back of it, that is a Pali suffix which means through or with. So with heedfulness or through heedfulness, sampadeta is practice well. Okay, strive on. So strive on with heedfulness. We have this for the last words of the Buddha. We also have the apamada word. So this whole section of showing loving kindness to the human population who day and night bring you offerings, therefore being heedful, protect them. This establishes a mutual interdependence between devas and humans. Ideally, as it mentions in the sutta, ideally before we go in the commentary, before we go to sleep at night, we should spend a few moments reflecting on meritorious deeds done during the day and dedicate the merit to devas. Actually, I would extend this and say dedicate the merit to devas and to petas. So if you're wondering what to do tonight before you go to sleep, reflect, think back on all the good things that you have done that day and say, may the merit that I have accrued today through these good, wholesome actions, may it be dedicated to devas, my household deva who protects my environment, the petas, the deceased relatives. Also, after reflecting on your meritorious deeds and dedicating these merits with devas, reflect with gratitude on why you feel lucky in this life. Because, as I mentioned earlier, the devas may have played a role in this luck. The devas cannot go against karma, but for smaller things, and those smaller things can really add up. Like if every time you roll the dice, it comes, like in that Jataka tale, you roll the dice and it always comes out winning combination, that will bring you a lot of wealth. And that the devas can impact. So when you're going to bed, reflect first, okay, I've done all this merit today, reflect on those merits. This gives one a pure and wholesome mind. And with that pure and wholesome mind, dedicate the merit to petas, devas, and then reflect on how you've been lucky. Gratitude. Reflect on how things have been going. You have your health, you have financially you're not you're stable, your kids are doing okay, whatever you feel lucky about, and then because the devas may have played a role, maybe significant, maybe small role in having that all happen. Okay, so any questions on this verse? Okay, Albert, I think this kind of addresses your question earlier about offering at your parents' place. You don't have to wait till you go to your parents' place to make the offering. You can do it tonight.
Yeah. So, Brother Rock, I got one more question on this. So normally at night, right, after I do my chanting, then I do a bit of metta, right? So I don't know whether this is a bit so-called, I got that attachment. So I would say that may the merits that I've gained today be shared with all the devas in my house, and also in my house, may they protect myself and my family. But I go another step, which I don't know. I say may may I always be well and happy, and healthy, you see. So when we say healthy, right? But we know that as we age, right, we will actually so-called will be born by so-called sickness, this thing. So I know that the last statement, right, whether should be inside or not. It's a bit like the attachment, is it? Yeah.
Okay. There is a Pali term, chanda, wish, and chanda can come in two different flavors. In the suttas, it often talk about kama chanda, which is wish or desire for sense experience. So that kama chanda is unwholesome. Okay, it is attachment to sense objects.
Yeah.
But then there is also dhamma chanda, which is wholesome. Desire for, I want to improve my spiritual ability. I want to be able to meditate more. I want to go on retreat. That is dhamma chanda. It is a wholesome wish. So if you look at what you are wishing for, it can be wholesome. For example, may I remain healthy so I can practice longer. I want my health. I want my health to be sustained. Why do you want your health to be sustained? Not so you can enjoy more sense objects, but because that if my health is strong, if my family's health is strong, then there'll be the opportunity to practice more, and it will support me. Just like when we take our meals, when a monk takes a meal, or when we take a meal on a retreat, we say, I take this food not for pleasure. It's not because I want to fatten and beautify my body, but I take this food to sustain the body to support the practice. And that is a dhamma chanda. That is a wholesome kind of wish. So if your wish of health for you and your family is to support more spiritual development, it is wholesome. If your desire is, I want to be able to go on vacations and I want to have more meals, I want to have this, I want to have that, then it is unwholesome. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, thank you, Brother Rob, because I think I missed out the last statement that you put down there. It means that may I be very happy to support my so-called Dhamma, the learning or on the path lah. The one I missed out that. Okay, thank you, Brother Rob.
Yeah, and that is a very important reminder to yourself to kind of steer or orient or direct your wishes toward wholesome objectives. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, it's already 2 o'clock. The next.
Sorry, Rob.
Yeah.
Just one question. when we dedicate the marriage to our departed ones, is it
Yep.
more effective we dedicate it through the Sangha, the monks?
Is it more effective to dedicate merits through the monks?
Okay.
First of all, your departed relatives are hanging around you, not around the monks.
Okay.
And so what's important is the feeling in your mind. If being with the monk causes you to have a pure mind, offering dana to the monk, and then sharing the merit with the with your departed relatives, that makes your mind stronger, right? And it makes the dedication of merit even stronger. You'll notice that in the in the Ratana Sutta here, all of this was first recited by Ananda when he went and sprinkled water from the Buddha's alms bowl, right? And so this is symbolized when you go to a Sri Lankan temple in particular, they will take an alms bowl and they'll put water in it, and with a flower they'll sprinkle water as a form of blessing. This is where it comes from. And you'll notice that when we talked about the sharing of merits with the Petas, it talked about water flowing as it flows to the ocean, right? That's a natural thing. That's why, again, a lot in Sri Lankan temple, when you want to dedicate your merit that you are doing, offering dana to your relatives, deceased relatives, they give you a little cup and a little pouring little small jug to pour the water into the cup, showing that it just naturally flows. The merit that you have done naturally flows, and that's where it links into this the sutta about the ghosts around the gates and the walls. So going and doing it by yourself is good. Doing it with the monks, to me, that provides more of an opportunity to have more of a focused mind.
Okay.
So which is going to be better? Once a week or once a month doing it with a focused mind, or every single night before you go to sleep with a slightly less focused mind? I would say that the repetition could be even more powerful.
Okay.
Right?
All right. Thank you very much.
Do both. Do both. Every night, and then on special occasions, when you have an opportunity to offer dana to the monk, pour the water. And remember that this sutta about the ghosts about the wall, the 100 ghosts around on the outside of the wall, they talk about the water flowing naturally down, and that's where it comes. That's where is symbolized by the pouring of water. And also remember that when you get blessed and they sprinkle water on you from the flower, that's symbolized from the Ratana Sutta, because that's what Ananda did to cleanse the city of Vaisali. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Okay. Rather than get into the next stanza, which is the big one.
There's a question for Tony, Brother Rob.
Okay.
Tony, you can unmute Tony. Okay, I didn't unmute Tony first. Unmute him. Tony, you have to unmute, Tony. I think Tony, we missing a Brother Rob.
Is there a message board where he can type in the message?
I think we just lost him. Just now, because he's just disconnected already. Yeah.
Oh,
So Brother Rob, one last question. I think just now if I've answer so-called part of the question of when they're doing the transfer of the merits, right? So it's pouring off the water, and this so-called represent the continuous flow of the merits. Yeah. So it means that when we are so-called during that time, right? Means the state of the mind should not have any doubt, so-called on this as a ritual, the mental state. Because I don't know, sometimes when I was attending this so-called, when they have this process, right? So this unwholesome mental state comes to my mind and say, oh, this is only a ritual only.
okay.
For your comment.
Yes, if when you witness it and say, oh, this is only a ritual, then that is doubt.
Yeah.
And it will weaken the spiritual strength of your mind, which will make the resultant karma weaker. The volition will be weaker. On the other hand, if you take a look at the exact same thing and say, oh, this is a beautiful ritual that has been passed down for 2,500 years and is based on the suttas, it's a reminder, it's a trigger for me to remember. Well, you're watching exact same thing, but the strength of your spiritual strength is increased rather than shaken by doubt. It is a ritual, but is that good or bad?
Okay. I fully agree, Brother Rob. So it means that we have to be very, very mindful. Especially when it comes to the chance to practice, whenever means that there's so-called like this doubt actually creeps out, we straight away have to cut it and say, hey, look on from the other positive angles.
Yes, look at it in a positive way, and the spiritual strength of your mind will be increased, even though you know it is just a ritual. Even something as simple as you walk into and you see people bowing in front of the Buddha, you go, oh, that's just a ritual.
Yeah.
Because that's just, that is a big hunk of rock, and people are bowing down in front of a big hunk of rock. If you see it that way, as a ritual, you go, that can shaken your faith, your confidence, your determination. However, if you take a look at the exact same thing, somebody bowing down, you can say, this is something that is beautiful. Imagine the pure state of mind that person has when they are bowing down like that. They're doing it with full devotion. Then it can be inspiring. The same thing can be inspiring. It's not in denial that this is a ritual, but it can either be inspiring or a cause of doubt.
Okay. Very true, but Rob, because when I go to certain, I forgot which country, go to certain countries, right? They are devotees, right? They have to bow all the way down. Then myself was standing, kneeling down. Then I told myself that, hey, it's not required to kneel all the way down, because it's not a practice. So this doubt also comes in. So what you explain is actually will let me know how to actually reinforce my mind, and in the future when I face this situation again.
Now, another thing to remember, like for example, if you go on retreat, if you have a problem, like many of the older people on retreat have a problem with sitting cross-legged on the floor, and so they sit on chairs. Now, there is a Vinaya rule that a monk cannot give a Dhamma talk to someone who is sitting higher than they are. There is a Vinaya rule. Unless the lay person who is sitting higher than they are is not well. So what is important, if you're not going to bow down full way, or if you're only going to, if you're going to sit and you're physically rated higher than the monk, it's important to explain to the monk, I'm sorry, I have leg problems. I have, problems in my knee, and then the monk knows that you are in that class of people who are physically not well. So therefore, it doesn't create any misunderstandings. Otherwise, it can be interpreted as not showing proper respect to the monk. Okay, so that I mean, when you mentioned it, that just came up in my mind that if you are listening to a Dhamma talk and you have problems going, bending all the way down or sitting on the floor, make sure that the monk is aware. Just briefly mention, and that will smooth things over. Okay. Did Tony come back?
Barrow, just now about the sitting in the chair, we have to ask the monk for the permission. But what if happens in a big group, there is no time to ask the monk. At the same time, I think I noticed the monk have a cloth to demarcate the level that the Sangha is higher.
Yeah. The individual practice on the monastery by monastery will vary. But in general, I mean, if you're obviously in a large group, then you don't have opportunity to meet up with, talk to the monk. The monk will assume that you are, there's a problem. That's why you're not sitting on the floor. But if you do have a chance, it's better.
Okay, thank you.